Hey everyone, welcome to the Roundtable with Vienna Whyte, Season 1, Episode 36. I'm your host, Millie Rouge, from the band Vienna Whyte. This Roundtable is a Yeg Music production. Thank you all for tuning into the show today. I would like to introduce you to our very first guests, Megawave from Seaford, New York. Could you guys give a wave to the camera? Awesome, thank you. And I'd like to introduce you to our next guest, Marc, who's an LA-based he's LA-based and he is a producer and he's born and raised in Florida.
Good evening, good morning, good morrow to y'all, wherever you're at. Hello.
Awesome. And our last guest for today is International Show from Boston. You can give a nice wave to the camera.
What's going on, everybody? How are you?
Awesome.
International Show.
Beautiful. So thank you guys so much for kind of giving your wave. I wanted to go into a quick introduction, a little bit more about all of you as musicians and kind of learn a little bit more, because even myself, I don't know that much about you guys yet. So Megawave, can you kind of give us a 2 to 3 minute introduction of who you are as a band, kind of how you guys got to be where you are today with the music you're playing and everything like that?
Sure. We started in 2014 with myself and my friend Andrew, and Mike played the bass, and our drummer Mike also was in the band at the time. And we've been performing since then. We were originally called Megawave at the time, and we decided that name was a little more aggressive than our sound actually is. We play alternative rock, new wave sort of feels. I play the guitar, Mike plays the guitar now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we've been, trudging right along, writing new songs. About a lot of our songs deal with mental health, and that's really it.
Mm-hmm.
That's astrology too. Yeah, it's funny that you all asked our signs, because
that's amazing. Now, Marc, can you give us an introduction to kind of your world in music?
Sure. I've been playing guitar for 20 years. I started when I was really young, when I hit a tree on my mountain bike. And I started producing shortly after that. I got signed to a record label when I was 18, which is why I went to Canada that one time.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went to school in New York City, got a job at a record label, met Swayze and G-Eazy, and came out here to California. That was about 10 years ago. And I'm still out here. I opened a studio in Hollywood, right on the Walk of Fame, basically. And it looks like this. It's pretty messy right now because we're in quarantine. And I basically just produce, score films, mix, master. I've got an analog chain for that stuff. And I don't know, things are cool.
Yeah,
thanks for asking.
Amazing. No worries. And I quickly wanted to ask you, I know on your Instagram you said you're Emmy nominated. Can you tell us a little bit more about that too? As really
Sure.
cool.
My good friend Zach Bromberg, he's a freaking great producer. He produces on Amico, which is like an all-in-one producer thing. Anyway, he got this opportunity to score a TV show theme song called Blue Laces, and he then brought it to me to mix and master. So my mix and master of that record was Emmy nominated because the show itself was Emmy nominated. It was last year. We did not win, but until further notice, I'm still Emmy nominated. It's cool, whatever,
Yeah, that's still a major accomplishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was cool.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And International Show, can you tell us about your music?
Nothing like that. That's
Neither is mine.
I'm playing. What's going on, guys? I'm International Show. I hail from Boston. I got into music. I started playing drums in church, and that went into going to high school for music, which I went to Boston Arts Academy, which is associated with all the arts at the time. So I had access to Berkeley. Being in high school, I had access to Berkeley for the 4 years. So I did the summer classes there, whatever. Moved to LA, moved back to Boston, moved to Atlanta, moved back to Boston, moved to Moscow, moved back to Boston. So that's where the international comes in.
Wow.
The international comes in from the Moscow aspect. I was doing some I got signed to this independent label called Out Label. At the time, I was out there for course of altogether probably like 3 years total. But 1 full year and then back and forth. But so a little bit about me now is I started a studio in 2010. It was in a small room, and then I expanded 2012, and now that was for 6 years until 2018, and now I'm in an even bigger space where it's a recording studio, video photography, and barbershop. So
Wow.
I need that right now.
right, we all do.
up.
And then just a little bit. I do mixing and mastering as well. I do production. I'm also an artist. I did one of the biggest records that I have out or that has gotten leaked is I produced this record for Ariana Grande and Bia called Esta Noche.
Nice.
And it got leaked. So the essence of dropping it as a real single kind of. But there's a lot of other,
that's dope though.
Credits
that
that
is
you guys
amazing.
can check out. I need the Emmys though. I need the Emmy nominations in the Grammy.
You're like, I'm working on it.
Dude, my friend, my good buddy won a Grammy this year for the best reggae album, and it just fell into his lap, just like this one, just like the Emmy nom did. Like I was like, oh, crazy! It's nominated. That's gnarly how that works out.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So when the time is right, it'll happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel it coming sooner than later.
Yeah.
Just from being on this conversation and just connecting, just that vibe alone, of just hearing how you got it and how you just talking about your friends, I know that it's definitely coming sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys,
he's got a lot of facial hair too, so.
You guys all have incredible journeys so far, in my opinions, and you're all doing great things. So you should be proud of everything you've accomplished so far.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our topic for today is all things production, which we've kind of dived into with everyone that's talked about their experience and their journeys. So my first question to set it off, to start the conversation here, what has been your favorite experience with production so far? So whether this be in your own studio, at an actual studio, or with other artists, I'm curious to know what's been your best experience. So international show, why don't you start it off?
I think my greatest experience is seeing a song come to life, especially when you're producing it from scratch. So start off with a vocal melody, or somebody might even have a full song that they just wrote. Like I have had a ton of clients that come in with like full songs that they've written just without music and just without any music, just written it. And it's putting the song into perspective of timing, key signatures, feel, grooves, all of that is really dope. Genre, right? Exactly. All of that is really excites me to know that I did that, for one. Like that you can take an idea from somebody else and just put it in a perspective of an actual song and to be released to the masses. So and then for me, post-production is my biggest beauty. I love post-production. I like producing the record to the point where the foundation is there, it's full enough, but it's not it saves space for the vocals. And then when the vocals are in there, then the post-production part is the most exciting.
Yeah.
Me, that's for me personally.
And how about you, Marc? Do you have anything to add to kind of your favorite experience?
Sure. Throughout my career, I've had these legacy projects. I've become a legacy engineer for people. Like, for example, one of the members of Thug Life walked into my studio a couple of years back, Big Psych, who was Tupac's, right-hand man,
Yeah.
And left hand, is that the term? Anyway, it was crazy. And,
right hand,
man, yeah.
Right hand, left hand.
That one left hand.
He was left hand. Can we take that out? Anyway, it was crazy because a lot of my my best experiences in producing with people have been like, okay, we're here, let's go, and like a lot of times like that's how I worked with like Quavo, Rich the Kid, Dex, Yachty. Like they all just showed up one day because Rich the Kid was recording with me, and so to see and experience like and to really kind of feel like the way that the tastemakers put things together has been like really freaking cool for me. And like now that I'm on this journey producing my own stuff again, I feel really empowered because I've been able to like see and experience like all these genres of music that when I was growing up, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. What a, you know, summer hit, summer anthem. Cool, whatever. And then like I really kind of get to dig into it and I'm like, oh man, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
dope, man.
That's some good clients you've worked with so far.
Yeah,
That's
for
pretty
real.
amazing.
In LA,
dope,
you just know. Oh, this is my girlfriend, Kati. You just never know. She's a comedian. She's epic. Maybe one day you can meet.
Hey. I'll speak our language.
Oh, comedian, not Canadian, but
Oh, I
maybe
heard
one day.
My bad. Then I can't tell any funny jokes. I'm out.
It's okay.
That's
Hang out with a
amazing.
comedian. Your comedic timing will improve a lot.
I can tell because you're really sharp and on point. Like your response time is very
Boom,
quick.
boom, boom.
So she must be getting at you every day. That's what it
I
is.
mean, we're 5 years in at this point, so I've been
yeah.
studying comedy 5 years now. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Third party.
Gotcha. Amazing.
That's awesome. Now, Megawave, I'm curious to know kind of your guys' experience from a New York perspective. What's been your favorite experience so far with production or being in the studio?
We're both in Megawave, but Mike also has his own band, and like I've done this band thing before, so we had the experience of going to other producers. But
yeah, we've generally stayed with the same producer.
Yeah, I was trying to say like my favorite experience has been, you know, first started in his parents' basement in his studio, and then he moved to a bigger studio, working with Voodoo Studio, who they've produced like Brand New and like some bigger Dillinger Escape Plan, like
a lot of
big alt rock
Those are some good
bands.
records, yo.
Yeah, so we got the experience of being in that big studio with the same producer and then being in his basement, and then he ended up going back and doing his own thing again.
Yeah,
and we recorded another song with him, and just watching, you know, our progressive growth together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, taking a song, the song that we just released last year, I did a demo on my own with my friend in like 2011, and the song was a totally different thing, and then like just seeing how we reworked it first, and then our producer helped us like bring it to life even more. That's been definitely the best experience so far.
Yeah, it was my first.
I dig that.
A lot of the older records I wasn't on because I was filling in on bass in the beginning, and then for like the past few years I was playing guitar with them. So it was like my first time really like diving into like the songwriting part of it.
Yeah.
I was playing both, so I don't have like a full bassist right now, so I was playing both guitar and bass. It was really fun to like see how he brought all of his past experiences into like his own studio.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like it's probably the best sounding thing that like we probably ever put out.
I can't wait to hear it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
We put that out last year. We're definitely planning on going back to him for like.
Yeah, we're gonna work some more with him.
later down the road.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something to be said about that for sure. Like, you know, producing with the same person or switching up every single song that you create. Like, I know some artists, they will stick to their one ride or die producer. And then there's some artists that are like, I'm free to try anybody, right? Like they think different experience, different songs, right? So it really depends on, I think, your preference and your experience as a musician too. But so my next kind of follow-up question is, do you think as an artist, it's more important to spend more money for potentially a higher quality track? Or do you think it's more important to try and save your money and record on your own at home or with a friend and maybe spend more money on maybe potentially like marketing, for example? Why or why not do you maybe think so? You know, it's kind of like
I think it all depends on how the quality is. It's always quality over anything. So if your quality at home compares to or can compete with everyday records that are put out, then by all means do it at home. And then save, you know, your money for more marketing and promoting and however you're gonna, you know, push your record. But if you know, you can't cut corners because we can, you know, I mean, nowadays the general population can't tell too much.
Yeah.
But if you want to get in these circles of, you know, Grammy noms and all these other kind of noms, there are there's a certain criteria that you have to reach and you have to hit as far as sonically. And if you cut corners, that will be heard by the board. So I feel like, it just all depends. If you have the sound at your house, or if it's accessible where you are, then, and it sounds great, and you can send it to get mastered and it sounds even better, then I think that would be great. But if you don't have the experience or don't have the equipment, the proper equipment, definitely spend the money to go to a studio and get it done the right way, because it will benefit you in the long run.
Save your time and your money that you do have.
Yeah, you got to, because you're investing into yourself, so it's like, whether you're investing time or money, you want to make sure that you get a return on investment. And if you're putting out a product that isn't up to standard, your return isn't going to be the outcome of your return isn't going to be what you expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Megawave, have you guys had experience with recording? I know you said you've done some demos by yourself, but have you had that experience with recording at home? And if so, which one do you guys prefer yourselves?
Yeah, I've been like just starting to learn how to do it, because I recently just got a laptop. I got like just a small interface. It's just like we're just learning to do like very basic level demoing. Just like I would have like a Scarlett Solo. Doesn't really have a ton of like bells and whistles, but
I like that little air button it's got.
What was that? Sorry, what was that?
A little button on the the air button is really nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like a lot clearer. I mean, it sounds good so far, but I feel like I'm kind of realized I'm like okay at it, but I feel like if I was trying to like really like release like something for like one of my bands, I would rather go to somebody who really knows what they're doing and just focus on like the songwriting aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I've been using it a lot. We've been using it a lot mainly for demoing or recording like little covers and stuff.
Yeah, recording videos. It's definitely been very helpful for us. But I definitely feel like a lot of artists, especially in the genre of music we play, which is punk, people will just put out something that isn't like polished and perfect. Sometimes I feel like there's like a medium ground between doing something that's really high quality and perfect and then not waiting to reach new people.
Sometimes that can take the longest. Is when you're spending so much time and money and you're almost waiting because you need to, save up the money to release something. And sometimes it takes so long because you're just waiting for that, the best producer in all of Boston or whatever, right? Like, I think sometimes that can be tough because you're just putting yourself, I don't know. It's really different. It depends on the artist. And I think you bring up a good point, Megawave, is it can also depend on the genre too. Like, not every genre has to be clean cut, professionally recorded, right? And I know, like, if it's classical music, for example, you'd probably sound quite different if you could hear like noise in the background and like a cat like meowing in the background. It'd be kind of a weird fit, It would be kind of like, okay. Now, Marc, did you have anything to add about that, with like recording at home or like in a professional studio? What do you kind of think?
My setup is a mix of both of those things. Like, since I've had experience working in commercial studios and also like I know the home studio protocol so well. And I think that, the teacher in me first response says, oh, dude, learn as much as you can, because the more you know, the better you'll be. Like, and the more potential you have for a career. Of course, like, if you didn't go to engineering school and you really don't have a desire to learn what a BCA is or something, like, you might consider just sending it off to somebody after you get it the way you want, But as a producer these days, I usually request that people sort of get it as far as they can get it before they send it to me, like, because I want to see their vision, And even if their vision is weird and messed up, like they recorded on like $100, I love my $100 microphone. It's old and it's crappy, but it sounds really nice, And so that being said, there's a time and place for everything, sonically speaking. A classical record probably needs to be recorded in a classical environment, unless it's like lo-fi classical, in which case it could be recorded in a bedroom or whatever. So, I guess it's a question of what are you going for? What's the vision? And if the vision is like something that you could orchestrate in your home setup, then I highly recommend you do it, because you're going to spend a hell of a bunch of time, explaining that to somebody. And like, that could sometimes be like you could lose your translation,
Yep, absolutely.
That's how I feel about that.
Now, international show, you kind of touched on this just a tiny bit. My next question is, do you think radio is too strict on a song having to be radio quality to be played? I know here in Edmonton, like if you want a song to be on the radio, you have to have a very, very specific standard of song quality. So I'm curious if you think that rule is kind of too strict, or if you agree with that.
No, not anymore. I mean, I only can really speak for, New England radio, Boston radio. And just things that hit mainstream. For the genre of rap, or hip hop or whatever, I think that the lines have been blurred now because, and it's crazy because I was watching this interview with Rico Love on the Breakfast Club, like a year or two ago, and he was explaining how people have made mediocrity hot, right? And which is true because now you hear like a lot of these distorted 808s, and you hear stuff that's not really that's really out of the spectrum of volume control, so it's like, but it's what the general population likes. So I think that they're getting less strict on the sound quality that hits airplay because of that, because of just the times. It's just adapting with the times, the new age of how to produce. Everything is just loud and distorted. So it's like, with zero headroom, with zero headroom, so everything is really just full blast. So I think there's not really but it still has to have a clean sound. It still has to be clean. So don't get it don't take it out of context that it's like it's a sound that's distorted, but it doesn't sound. It sounds muddy and muffled, but there's still a clean sound to it. But I don't think that they're being any more strict. I think they're actually being less strict.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that it really does. Nowadays, it doesn't matter as much. When maybe back in the day when it was first kind of coming out, and people were recording music for the first time, it was a big deal, and it still is a big deal to this day. But I think it's
a big deal to me. I think they should be strict. I honestly think they should be stricter, because it's just like I'm hearing all of it. I mean, the radio had its own style of compression as well, but I'm hearing all these records in the way that it's mixed, and it's just like some of them is just like, oh my god, like, how did that even pass through? So.
No, I agree. So my next kind of question for everyone is, what artists do you enjoy listening to that you think have a really good production team kind of behind them? What are kind of your top favorite artists that you really admire for their production quality? Megawave, do you guys have anyone that kind of comes to mind when you think of that?
Sia is the first one that comes to mind for me initially.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like also because a lot of like the in like the world of pop, I feel like they get her voice. It's very like raw.
It's very raw.
Emotional sounding, without like sounding like it's very. You can even like sometimes like when she's like going like really high, you can even hear like the little like creaks and like pops in her voice a little bit.
Yeah, little croaks in her voice. Yeah, very natural.
It sounds really like natural.
The songs still have like a pop sonic kind of quality, and the people she works with are always interesting. Like,
she's a great
collaborators. It's great.
Have you heard 07's When It Falls?
I don't think so.
No, I have not.
Easily one of my favorite albums ever made. It's Sia's side project before she was like popping like on the radio. My God, that album is like a musical massage, and I have it on vinyl, and it's like, it's the best. It's one of the best albums ever made for me.
Okay.
That's
cool.
awesome.
We like a lot of like her earlier stuff is really cool. Like,
that's early. That's like 04 maybe.
Yeah, that's probably when I started listening to her.
Yeah, it's not just her though. It's a bunch of people, and it's amazing. Super jammy. A lot of amazing musicianship. Musicality is on point. It's gnarly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I would say a lot of like it's like I feel like a lot of people don't realize she had like a huge discography even before like
before she made it like
Before,
big.
like she
Big,
was
yeah.
listed,
Before the
she
wig.
was
Yeah,
listed.
Yeah.
she's everywhere, man.
Before the wig. I love that.
Yeah.
What a vocal too, man. Her vocal, you feel her.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
nuts. Yeah, every time I go and try and cover a Sia song, I'm like, dear Lord, please give me the strength. I can't do it. I can't do
I
it.
think you have to just forget everything you ever learned.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and just
That's
do
kind of
whatever
how I
you
think
want.
she sings too.
Yeah.
She just sings with her physical heart, and it really does show because you can hear it, right? Like you guys are
yeah.
saying, like her croaks and like just her being natural, it really does shine through, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah. That's what I expect from my artists, you know? Like I expect them to hit me with their soul.
Emotion, you need it.
Yeah.
Emotion. And music is a reflection of emotion, and it's a reflection of what we go through in our everyday journey. So if I can't feel how you felt through your song, you know who portrays that a lot really good? What is her name? Demi Lovato. She's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Been through a lot. And I feel like every time she comes out with a record, it portrays, it personifies what she went through.
Yeah.
Or what brought her to that record. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally get chills every time I hear her perform live because I could feel it. I could feel the energy. I could feel the you know, her being in a dark place and like this is the song that came out. You know, like I think she is a representation of how I want my artists, like you said, like artists that come to the studio. That's the ideal push that I want. Like
I agree.
I want them to push out that emotion.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel people think just because they're in a studio, they're like, oh yeah, just melodyne it, right? And I'm like, nah, bro.
That should be like the last resort.
Yeah, like that's polishing later. We gotta get the emotion first. I need the emotion.
Yeah.
I had this gnarly experience where I got to hang with Jeff Emmerich, who's the gentleman that recorded all the Beatles stuff.
Nice.
And the way that he brought it back he passed, but when we were sitting, he was just reminding us like the way it used to be. It was on tape. There was no Melodyne, there was no Pro Tools, you know. And so it was important to make people feel things, and also you can't really sing out of key, you know. So the standard of excellence was different in the '60s, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree. It's
absolutely
interesting. Yeah, absolutely. So that was actually our last question for the day. We are out of time, unfortunately. I'm so lucky to have had all of you guys on today. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you guys are at home watching this YouTube video of the Vienna Whyte Roundtable, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. We do post 2 shows Monday to Friday, so there's lots of content you can watch. And again, this show will also be on our Spotify podcast, which is just the Vienna Whyte podcast. So make sure to check it out. Before we head out today, can I get all of you to just say again your band/stage name and where you are from, and where our audience can find you on social media is what I meant to say. So Megawave, can you guys sign us off first?
Sure. We're Megawave. My name is Mishi. This is Mike. You can find us live every Wednesday on Instagram and YouTube. Wednesday nights, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Fantastic. And Marc?
Yes, my name is Marc Solomon. On Instagram, it's Mr. Solo Music with a K at the end. I'm super active on Facebook these days, and also on the gram. Drop me a line.
Awesome. And international show.
Hey, I'm International Show. You can find me on Instagram at INTL Show, or you can just go to my website, which is INTL Show Music, MUSIC.com.
I'm doing that right now.
To hear from you guys. You too, Marc. Hey, we gotta connect.
We will. Let's do it. You look familiar. I feel like I met you in LA, maybe.
Met you in another life.
Probably no. Megawave. We all gotta connect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that. I love
our
punk,
Instagram is Megawave Makes Music.
Awesome.
I think you tagged us in everything.
Yeah.
Got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. It was great meeting you all. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
You too. See you later. Thank you for having us.
Bye, guys.